and some simple tips on how I have learned how to start a big 450 more easily, even though I'm short and not very strong. Because if you have short legs like me, it's hard to put a foot down and be able to get enough leverage on the Kickstarter and start it more easily. Well, having a shaved seat like this can definitely help because you're lower to the ground, but a few common mistakes that I see are not following a simple but proven procedure. Because I've had dozens and dozens of dirt bikes over the years, and every dirt bike requires a slightly different routine in order to start easily the first time, whether it's cold or hot. And on a big 450 like this, the first mistake when actually kicking it is just kicking it. So you pull the kickstart lever out and then you just kick it down as hard as you can. While this can work, it might take several kicks to get started, and you might hurt your foot. Another thing is trying to start it in gear. And while you can do this, even the manual says you can, it's harder because there's more drag on the engine. So it just requires more effort in order to start it easily. Another thing is not using proper leverage, because going back to having short legs, it's super important to get the right leverage of your right foot and leg on the lever so you can get maximum weight and pressure on the Kickstarter when you kick it. Because if you're putting all your weight on your left foot, you're kicking at an angle, you just can't put as much weight and force into the Kickstarter, making it harder to start. Because these require a lot of force to kick over, although not as much as my older Yamaha 450s, thankfully. The other mistake is using the throttle. Now, on a fuel-injected bike, you don't need to use the throttle when starting it. And even on a carbureted 450, you shouldn't be using the throttle, at least when you're kicking it over, because if you have the throttle cracked open, you're just asking for the kickstart level to kick back up at you. And if you're wearing tennis shoes or flip-flops, your foot is going to be hurting. That's why you should be wearing dirt bike boots. The reason why you might use a throttle on a carb bike is because it has an accelerator pump. Because if you twist the throttle, it squirts a shot of fuel into the intake, into the engine, making it richer. And when the engine is cold, it likes having that extra fuel, making it easier to start. But this is fuel injected, so it automatically compensates the air-fuel mixture to be able to start it more easily, so you don't need to touch the throttle. With that said, you may need to use one simple feature on these EFI bikes in order to start it easily when the engine is cold, which I'll show you in just a minute. So here are the steps. First, you need to find level ground or even a hill on your left side, or maybe like a starting block or something where you can put your left foot on there, so that way you can put more weight, get more leverage on your right leg to be able to start it more easily. Next is making sure that the bike is in neutral, because when it's in neutral, there's less drag, it's easier to start, whether it's cold or hot. And then this KX450F 2014, since it's EFI, there's no choke, but it does have a choke knob or enrichener or cold start knob, whatever you want to call it. It's under the seat. It's here on the throttle body. You just pull it out, and pulling that out will help it start more easily when the engine is cold, because this is cold. It hasn't been running today. Ugh. And then once it gets running, you can turn it off and leave it off. Now you can pull the kickstart lever out, and you're not ready to kick yet. What I like to do is slowly kick it over to turn the engine over. This can help find top dead center where the piston is at the top of the stroke, and that makes it easier to kick it over and get it started right away. I've also read, but I'm not certain because I didn't see it in the manual, but when you hold the throttle wide open and you kick it over, this supposedly charges the condenser, which makes it easier to fire off right away. Where if you just try and kick it right away, it may take 2, 3, or 4 kicks to get started. So now you can bring the kickstart lever back up all the way, and then you want to put your foot back down on the lever and then slowly push it down until you feel that resistance there. That's where you want to keep your foot until you're ready to kick, because if you take it off and then just jam your foot on there, you're not going to get as good of a kick. And it can also put more wear and tear on the kickstart gears. It can bust them. So always, when you're starting any dirt bike, make sure that there's pressure on your foot before and when you're about to kick it. Now, when you do kick it, you want to make sure that you have that good leverage. You get as much weight onto your right leg and foot, and give a good, smooth, swift kick all the way down. So that was one kick. We'll try it again, bring it back up, put a little bit of pressure on it, kick it all the way down. Nope. Okay, got pressure again. 3 kicks. I turned that cold start choke knob off, and now it's idling nice. So you saw that it took 3 good swift kicks when the engine is cold, which I've heard is common because for some reason the EFI needs 1 or 2 kicks to prime something or something like that. So now it should start in 1 kick. Nice and easy. If it doesn't start within 5 kicks, you can turn that choke knob off, and according to the manual, you can hold the throttle wide open and slowly kick it over 4 or 5 times, and this will help clear out that rich fuel mixture. Then you can let out the throttle and try starting it again. Now that you got it started, is there a proper way to warm up your engine so that it doesn't wear out faster or blow up? I cover that question in this video here. I'm Kelly Fager from MX Hideout. Stay safe, have fun.